Good morning, and welcome to the second show of BPEP Community Moments. I'm the host, Brandon Davis, and we are here leaving the gallery, I'll say, is Dr. Brown, who's standing in for Nyota Robinson, this BPEP secretary and co-host of BPEP Community Moments. She's en route. Dr. Brown, you want to introduce yourself to the digital people? Yeah, the people on the radio know who you are, but
Right. So, yes, hey, I'm Dr. Alexis Brown. I am a lot of things. I'm multi-hyphenate. I'm a community bridge builder. I'm a business owner at Lexical Multimedia, where we turn visions into visuals. And I also am a senior research scientist for a university.
So senior research scientist, what does that mean?
A lot of things, and it really depends on which institution that you work for.
Is it like Dexter's Lab?
Almost. I'm almost in the laboratory. So I personally do grant writing. I do also lead research projects. I am the editorial manager for the in-house academic journal we have. I wear a lot of hats. I'm also an adjunct professor at Duquesne University.
Okay.
Teaching history of hip hop.
Well, it's a special episode because today is, like I said, the second show of BPEP Community Moments. Of course, BPEP Community Moments traditionally has been on WGBN, and we are still live on WGBN. So whoever's listening on the radio, but as far as the digital platform, this is the second show. So we get to share in this first. This is the second show on the radio, second show on the digital platform. And today is Valentine's Day.
Happy Love Day, y'all.
So it's Love Day. And I think, my goodness, I feel like this day is more needed now than ever. I feel like we've been going through so much. And we're going to talk about that today with Dr. Brown and Nyota when she comes in. But there has been so much going on. And the last show of the February part one show of BPEP Community Moments, I talked about the denigration and the purposeful rhetoric, the on-purpose rhetoric that is just keeping us divided. And even the founder, CEO, Tim Stevens, spoke about us not having time for the petty stuff, us not having time for division. Let's get back to loving each other. And I'm going to do my best to highlight that and hopefully connect to somebody. I want to push a lot of narratives. I want to push a lot of comfortabilities. And I feel like there's no better day than to do that today. Also, we are a representation of the culture and our community, our way of life. So today is also the Founders Day for Morehouse College. So I want to shout out Morehouse, the house, dear old Morehouse. And something that was very special to me is Morehouse gave me the opportunity to learn from John Carlos, the 1968 Olympic Games winner. Him and Tommy Smith are the classic image, and they are in the Black Museum in DC. But they are the classic image. Sorry, tripping over words. They are the classic image of them standing on the Olympic podium, holding the fist up, holding the left fist up, and holding the right fist up. They're wearing a black glove on each fist, on one on the left for John Carlos, and one on the right for Tommy Smith, if I'm not mistaken. But also they're wearing black socks, so they're not wearing their shoes, and they wore black socks to represent the black struggle in America. And they were standing there in a time where the world was on notice. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of turmoil, and they represented our community on a world stage. And again, Morehouse gave me the opportunity to learn all of this and to learn directly from John Carlos. But also, it was very interesting that when he returned home after the games, our community did not receive him well. They actually gave him a lot of flack for it and a lot of negativity for it. This man represented our plight on a grand world stage, and the community wasn't necessarily receptive of it. I talk more about that on Culture Champion Creative. I'm going to make a video about it, so check that out. But today is Valentine's Day. It is Love Month. And again, we're going to emphasize the love in our culture. But there are some things that we have to talk about. And I want to bring this up because a lot of the initiatives that I work with are for homeless individuals, particularly homeless foster care youth. And I'm proud to work with an initiative that houses homeless foster care youth and provides resources as far as life skills, economic resources, and a lot of support and education that homeless foster care youth don't normally get or do not have. I often say homeless foster care youth are one of the communities that starts from behind the line, and it takes a lot to catch up. And there's more than a lot of detriments. Um, but I want to highlight this as Nyota comes in. That I was hesitant of the new mayoral administration because I wasn't sure what value our community would receive. And I want to be clear, these are my thoughts. These are not Dr. Brown's thoughts. These are not Nyota's thoughts. These are my thoughts. But there's a story that came out that Walnut Capital is asking to be exempt from the inclusionary zoning laws and bills that came up in the last mayoral administration. They're asking to be exempt from that in their new Oakland project. So what they're asking is to be taken out of the requirement to build affordable housing. And that worries me because that implementation was put in there to guarantee that vulnerable populations can afford to be housed and to be sheltered. And that really touches me. So as Nyota comes in, we're going to talk about that. But Dr. Brown, quick thoughts.
Again, these are not the organizations I represent's thoughts. These are my own thoughts. These aren't Nyota's. These aren't Brandon's thoughts. But I have to say that it's truly disheartening to see that happening because Walnut Capital is one of the biggest purveyors of the the current mayor's words. The current mayor's running how developers. There you go. Developers were very big in backing our newest mayor, and with Walnut Capital, and if you've seen Walnut Capital signs all over the place, they have these luxury apartments where you might not find a studio costing less than $1,500.
Right.
So with being exempt from those inclusionary zoning laws, I fear that problem is only going to get worse and worse and worse.
And as Nyota comes in, I want to say that it's hard because housing is connected to more than what we think. It's connected to literally the social economic propensities that you will endure. Housing is connected to transportation. Housing is connected to healthcare. Housing is connected to equitable food sources. And as the co-host, BPEP Secretary Nyota Robinson joins us.
Hi, everyone. I have to tell you why I'm late. I was hanging out with the Stonewall Democrats last night because our own Tim Stevens got an award.
I had a conversation about them, but congratulations to BPEP founder and CEO for being awarded by the Stonewall Democrats.
Yes, it was their annual gala, and we all showed up in BPEP fashion, and our own Tim Stevens received the Community Champion Award, so that was definitely awesome. A lot of people don't know. I'm sorry to segue into that, but I feel like I owe an excuse. But it was a good one. You know, Tim has done a lot of work. BPEP has been very instrumental in making sure that a lot of marginalized groups that otherwise wouldn't be recognized, their vote, their voice, their presence in our community. He has, you know, been very intentional about building those bridges and helping to make sure that we all are seen and heard. So for him to be recognized last night by that group, I thought that that was a moment worthy of me taking an extra 10 minutes of sleep this morning. So, so, you know, if you've never supported any of their events, trust me, it's definitely worth it. We got some entertainment. So once again, congratulations to Tim, and I beg 1,000 apologies because it is
good.
the day.
And here's this. That's exactly what we opened up with. I said I would do my best to highlight the love component in our communities because, you know, as we spoke before, and the first part of the February show was that there's a purposeful denigration to keep us divided. But then we led into this story about Walnut Capital axing. They're axing. They're not doing it, but they are asking to be exempt, to be let out of the inclusionary zoning clause that requires them to build affordable housing. And
I say no.
Listen.
I say no. Do you want to hear what I have to say? I was trying to ease into it because we talking about love and Dr. Alexis. Thank you. You were so PC. But you know I am not PC about when it comes to things that are important of like housing. I mean, let's talk about it. Do we or do we not call ourselves the most livable city?
Let's talk about that.
Okay, so last time I checked, we were in the US report, right? The U.S. report that goes out nationally asking families, asking college students, asking people to come here and live. We're touting jobs, fair housing, great educational systems. We have one of the best hospital systems in the nation. Absolutely. And I would dare say probably in the world. I mean, we are top notch on every level. So what I'm asking is, how can you ask us to support all of that, but then you have someone like Walnut Capital that owns a considerable amount of property.
They have to be a monopoly at this point.
They're beyond a monopoly. Let's talk about it. The very area that we sit in and we host, and this is a Nyota Robinson comment. This is not representative of BPEP, so Tim, don't come for me. Lorraine, don't come for me. I'm sorry. I'll take the slap tomorrow. But no, but seriously, the very area we are sitting in, they own a considerable amount of property. Once upon a time, there were people that looked like us. And this area was owned by a lot of Italian Americans. So now that you want to come here and say that you don't want to give college students, people who I classify with, people that have disabilities, you don't want to give us an opportunity to live in your fancy apartments.
Right. Outpricing the community.
Outpricing a very community that helped you to structure yourself. And I'm going to go a step further. I do believe the owner lives in Squirrel Hill. The owners, okay? So I won't go there, but my point is, are you sowing into the community or are you tearing it apart?
And
are you helping to build it up or tear it down? Because I didn't sign up for that.
Something else I spoke about is that I have the pleasure to work for an initiative that is housing homeless foster care youth.
Oh, yes.
And every day, this team of people who are phenomenal. Every day I see these people spend their personal time. They're taking text messages late at night, phone calls late at night. They're talking on the weekends. They're showing up early. They're bringing in things that, you know, other teams and agencies outside of themselves are responsible for. They're having the conversations about development, interpersonal conversations, because all of that is tied to housing.
Right.
It's literally their job to go out and find equitable places for people who are leaving high school, going into college to rent, and they don't have mommy and daddy's checkbook that comes along with some of these, you know, students that come to our city because we're also a college town.
Very big.
But I personally, along with Tim, along with a lot of members of BPEP, we personally went to support the inclusionary zoning bill.
Exactly.
At city council, at the county commission or the city commission, and there was.
It's disheartening. I live in a Hill District. Okay, I literally drive past this particular building every day. Like literally, I just drove past it the other day, coming from Greenfield. So I see day to day the impact of the college students that come and go. I see the struggles of the different groups. Right now in my area, I believe rent goes for $1,200
Yes.
to $1,500. Who in
Yes.
this city, can we talk about some paychecks and pocketbooks? Who in this city can afford $1,200 to $1,500 a month?
Well, also I do want to
Who?
add this is going to city council, and Dr. Brown was there.
Mhm.
We sat there for hours, and when the inclusionary zoning bill, so we went to the city. I think it's the city commission. We went
Right.
there. We sat there for hours, debating, deliberating, hearing the back and forth, people making the case. There was data brought from California. I'm trying not to get extremely frustrated, but
It's
there
okay.
was
I'm
data.
voicing it for you.
Right.
So you could be the good cop today.
There
I'll
was
be the
data
bad
that was
one.
brought from California. There was data brought from places that are just not Pittsburgh or indicative
Right.
of Pittsburgh. Like, but we're special, okay?
Oh my
and,
gosh.
you know we're special. We're the steel city that built this nation. We're in the Keystone State that held this nation together. And we just have a different vibe. And it may not be for everybody, but it's our vibe. And here's this. You can't take millions of dollars of days, California, because they have Hollywood. Hollywood produces millions upon millions of dollars a day for that economy.
Even they still can't afford it.
And people out there can't afford it. The homelessness out in California is insane.
Outrageous, yeah.
So that's one point. But like you're sitting here, and I watched city council members, I've watched people in our government sit there and try to shoot down the inclusionary zoning bill from the last mayoral administration. Shoot that down, and because in good faith, the developers were going to make affordable units because they're good people and they just want to build. Building should be easy. That was the platform that members of city council had. That was the platform that the new mayor had. This is my thoughts. I know people feel different, but that was his platform. And then he signed a proclamation, or no, not a proclamation, an executive order to make it easier for developers. And just 2 seconds ago, we have Walnut Capital asking to be exempt from the inclusionary zoning the inclusionary zoning bill with their Oakland. And for those who don't know, Oakland
Which is one
is
of the most expensive
the hub of the collegiate world here.
Yeah.
They're
trying to eat. They're trying to study. And can I
and
also
the
say
sacrifice to get a degree alone.
It sets a bad precedent in the city. And I'm going to say this, when you were talking about all the things that we are as a city, we're pumping cold still in our heart.
Exactly.
And I just want to say that anytime you will allow money to move over people, it's not a good look. And I have said this in different circles where I'm asked to, speak on behalf of the disability community.
Right.
We need to get realistic data. You said one thing that I do agree with. Pittsburgh, it's its own little world almost at times.
Yes.
And the problem is we have infiltration from all these other places. And it's just like, oh, a shiny new toy. Somebody's playing with me.
Yep.
Well, no, there are other ways to do things. And we don't always have to cow down to the pressure of capitalism and making profit over sustaining the population. And I think that that's the point that the three of us are coming to, is that if you outprice the people in your city, then what type of city are you left with? That's where you have an uptick in homelessness. That's where you have an uptick in crime. That is putting more stress and pressure on the Department of Health and Human Services, on the police department, on all of these auxiliary services that we claim we don't have funding for.
And again, what we're talking about is a very big development company in the city of Pittsburgh is asking to be left out,
exempt,
of the inclusionary zoning bill that was implemented and pushed by the last mayoral administration. Here's where...
Can we give a solution?
Hold on. Here's where I also have frustrations with, because we have sat here on this very show. That's becoming a catchphrase now. Again, BPEP Community Moments has been on WGPN for years, and we're here. We're here now, bringing it to a digital platform. I will say this: going to city council, and this was for the Stop the Violence Fund.
Oh gosh, don't get me going on that.
I watched a city councilman question why housing assistance and funding was in the Stop the Violence bill. Now, at the top of the show, being Love Month, I also said, us being representatives of the community, I shouted out that today is Morehouse College's Founders Day. But also, I had the pleasure to be a part of the Morehouse School of Medicine Justice Involved Care Cohort. And one thing that this medical school, this historically Black medical school, emphasized was the connection between housing and crime, housing and social and economical, political detriments.
Let's talk about it.
Because when people are housed, they have a sense of, yes.
Come on, I've
if
always
you can sit here and walk in the room.
I've written all my college
If you can sit here and walk in the room and finish
it.
my sentence, why doesn't a city council member who's representing our city know this? Because this man sat there and he questioned why housing provisions was in the Stop the Violence Fund.
Can I answer that for you?
Good, please.
I'm so serious, and I'm speaking seriously from someone who has done research about housing in Washington, D.C. I've written papers about it. I've done it here. I even proposed a project to the city about how to address their housing crisis. A lot of people don't know the city had a 10-year plan for homelessness to work with the local nonprofits. They were targeting veterans, and they were targeting the mental health population, the disability population, to help eradicate by a certain date, as much as they could, and I want to put that in there, the housing crisis that was going across the nation. So my point is, some of us, like you and myself, have had our finger on this pulse for 20 plus years. So when the city picked that up, I won't say under which administration because we're going to keep it cool, but it's been a minute. All of a sudden it fell flat. And there is an article about the findings of that particular study that all of a sudden got buried a little bit. And there was one success person that they talked about that happened to be a veteran. There was no further development about the fund that everybody was supposed to pour into, their strategic plans, none of that. So my point is this: people don't care because they're not the unhoused. And the unhoused are seen as vagrants. People don't realize unhoused, if you want to know what that means, it means when you do not have a secure place to stay. That is couch surfing. That is sleeping in someone's car. That is if you are staying with someone and you are not on the lease, or you are not the owner of that property for more than 2 weeks. Okay? That is not your established legal residence. So my point is, the people you are talking about, I want to know, how close have these people ever come to homelessness? How many people do they know in their district who are uncounted, but they count for them votes
I'm sure
come
for
election?
Political reasons, they'll go out and they'll do the lip service, they'll do the handshake. Oh,
that's why I'm taking the time to say
it. And I'm sure they don't know. Because why would you sit there during a meeting on record and question why housing was in the Stop the Violence Fund? And I'll also say this: if you are unhoused, if you're homeless, you're going to do things to survive. We go back to Maslow's hierarchy: having shelter, you don't feel safe. And homeless foster care youth, 50% of homeless foster care youth experience becoming justice involved, and that is why I was in that cohort. And these people sit here and they do things like advocate. They advocate for the cleaning up of our city, but they're not talking about litter. They're not talking about trash. They're talking about people who are not housed and they are suffering on the street. And I had to look this up because I want to go back to the Supreme Court that ruled 6-3 that cities can enforce bans on public camping and even against homelessness for individuals with nowhere to go. And that's in the city of Grants Pass versus Johnson, June 2024.
It's a crime.
And I have to say this. I'm gonna do my best to look at this camera because here's this. This is not a BPEP thing. This is not anybody that I represent. This is a me thing. And I'm gonna say this: that get Marty Griffin, who sits there and he posts on his social media about going and antagonizing homeless people who are suffering from mental illness, who are suffering from drug addiction. You sit there and you post on your social media calling them a detriment to this city instead of sitting there to help them.
It's hard.
You are a camera. You are a Karen with a camera. You are a part of the problem. And I'm saying that to you. Brandon Davis is saying that to you. You are a Karen with a camera. You sit there and you antagonize these people instead of helping them. And see, this is why people on a national level, we get confused between Democrat and Republican, because we say that the Republicans are bad and we say the conservatives are bad. But there are so-called liberal people,
talk about it,
who don't know how to connect with people who don't look like them.
And don't share their same social status. My famous saying, no matter whenever I'm asked to speak, whenever people ask me, even my driver on the way over here said, "Oh, you're into the community. That's a great thing." And he said, you know, he had been all around the country and he had decided to come home and live. Younger guy, you know, looked to be like in his 20s or 30s. And the first thing he said, I said to him, well, he was like, you know, I wanted to see what was up with my city. I said, well, we're about the same. He said, I see that. That makes me sad that someone could leave Pittsburgh for a considerable amount of time and still come back and they don't see a difference. They don't see any increase in living or economic situations for people that look like them. If you really want to help, and everybody knows I believe in the political system. I do. I believe that it can work. Voting does matter. But I also believe there are certain issues, as you're highlighting, that are not, excuse me, because I'm getting emotional about it as well, that are not a red or a blue issue. They're a purple issue. It's about humanity.
Yes.
If you cut all of us, we bleed. If not for the grace of God, there go you. And that's what sometimes we forget, that this outer thing going on, some of us can't help the situations we find ourselves in.
And I also
a lot
want to
of
say,
these
because
people are veterans that are homeless.
You mentioned religion, and I
Can
just
we
want to
talk
say,
about
if you
that?
sit there and you call yourself a Christian, what happened to the least of these? What happened
I'm
to
trying to
showing
talk
up
about the Good
for
Samaritan.
for the least of
the
these?
Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan. And even if you're not a religious person, I'll even hit it like this. And then if you want, we can move on to another topic. From a social, economic, political, public safety, whatever hat you want to put on it. If your neighbor is doing worse than you, how long do you think before the neighbor's going to start peeping in your window? I get rid of that neighbor. Okay, then I go build a fence.
Yeah.
Then now you've walled yourself out from society. So then when somebody comes and you need help, who can you turn to? When did we become such an isolating, uncaring population? So my thing is this: if we're going to say we're the most livable city, then put your back into it. Live it. Do it. Stop with all this stuff. Oh, we're this, we're that. We have all these amenities. No, show us as being humane. Show us as a place that you can grow a family.
And let's
actually
also
earn
count
a living wage.
Let's also count all people, because
yes,
I do want to highlight this, and this will be all that I have to say, because clearly, there could be a space for "I told you so," but here's the problem: the community suffers now.
Right.
The community suffers.
Right.
I'm telling you, I wish I could show you a picture. There was a room full at that city commission. There was a room full of people that showed up and they supported the inclusionary zoning bill because they were being priced out of their communities. It was white, it was black, it was college students, it was the workforce, it was everybody who was being priced out of where they live.
Brandon, I can't afford to live in my own neighborhood, and I own property and I grew up there, okay?
And it's
That's
insane.
What I'm trying to say is that if I went right now and tried to rent, I would not be able to live in the very neighborhoods that I grew up in.
It's insane. And here's the thing. Here's the other thing.
And I'm not the only person that feels like this.
The response was, "Oh, we have data. We have a method to make sure that wouldn't happen." And they sat there and they said that the developers just want to build. The developers just want to build, and they won't outprice people. Well, guess what?
They're doing it.
Walmart Capital is asking to be exempt from this. Imagine if that bill never went past. Imagine if they didn't have to ask. See, that's the thing. That's the thing that people. That's why the community showed up. And I said, let's make sure. In your point, I said, let's make sure all people are counted. I want to jump to this. I want to jump to somebody on social media, Instagram. Please forgive me if I'm not saying your name right, but her name is Jess Britvich. So that's Jess Britvich. Jess G. Oh, G. Jesus.
No, that's
J,
okay. This is why we have 2 segments for
right.
now.
JESS. BRITVICH. That's JESSBRITVICH. I gotta calm down a little bit, but here's this. She posted something on January 6th. Ironic, right? January 6th, and you can see the topic if you go and find this. She's talking about who gets to decide the tone of safety in our city. Because certain people will go downtown and they'll say, it's not safe because of this. It's not safe because of that. But it seems to be that there's only one side of the community that is heard when you say that. So is it not safe because you see somebody that's unhoused? Is it not safe because you see somebody that is not of your economic status, so therefore you think you're a target now? Is it not safe because of your own bigotry?
Wow.
Who makes it not safe? And please go find her reel. I'm not going to post it on BPEP, but I will post it again on Culture Champion Creative, because these are my thoughts and these are my emotions about that. And I'll leave it there, because this was absolutely insane. And again, the community, the people showed up at that city commission and city hall to support the inclusionary zoning bill and to support the Stop the Violence Fund, because it affects our community. And if you don't know how housing, how transportation, how the access to vital documents, the access to equitable food, if you don't know how that plays into life, listen, go take a class or something, because you should not be in leadership. We can wrap it up there and move on to a different topic. Nyota, you had some topics that you want to say.
Oh my goodness. I mean, after that, I don't know what to say. I mean,
well,
no, I mean, seriously, that is honestly why, I'm grateful that we do have these 2 segments per month to talk, because, as you can hear, there's a lot of passion from both of us about these issues. We really care about seeing our city really live up to the expectation. And it is disheartening when you travel and you see other people figuring it out, and then you come home and it's kind of like we're still tripping over our feet.
Exactly.
It's like, let's do a new dance.
Mm-hmm. And just we have city officials that actually serve the people. That's a national conversation. That's a conversation in Congress.
Goodness. I'm going to be quiet because I get in trouble. Listen, I done already said my 2 cents, so I'm going to be quiet because I don't want Dr. Alexis to be my new replacement. But I'm just going to say a little birdie said that she agrees wholeheartedly and might mention that at another time.
But that's the conversation everywhere. It's the conversation nationally.
We don't feel heard and seen.
It's just a conversation. It's just like the people's ways of life are being infringed on. And that's not to say that, you can just do whatever you want to do. Everybody should be able to do what they want to do. That's not what we're saying. But people's literal life, liberty, and pursuit of just well-being and happiness in the world is being hindered. Like, people are being outpriced of their own neighborhoods. Think about that.
I'm going to say this. The biggest issue is we lack civic education. And I'm starting to hear more of an uptick of people taking that up and saying they want to talk about it. And I know a lot of people have some bad things to say about this current president and the administration. But one thing I can say is that with the anniversary of our 250th year of being a nation approaching, I think this is a great opportunity for all of us who care about this country in even the smallest way. You care about with your children, your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren, whomever. Even if you just care about living for the day, take the time to actually learn your U.S. history. Learn about the countries that are interconnected with the U.S. Learn why politicians and other statesmen and stateswomen think and vote the way they do. That is what it is. We perish out of a lack of ignorance. It was true then and it's true now. And that's just not for the people who are listening to us. That is for anyone who cares. You have to understand there is nothing new under the sun. And people get away with things because people don't trail and watch.
Here's something else. And that what Nyota is saying is more important because the way that we live is in a system.
Come on.
I don't want to lose you, but we live in a system. The way the world works is a system.
Right. And to ignore that is foolishness.
And it's like, when you go and you cut your light on, you have to be the mechanism to flip that switch. The switch triggers electricity to go through wires, and that electricity hits your light bulb. It's a system. Now, what's annoying is the system is not perfect. And we're at a point where now, once again, I have to say, we sat here for over 365 days. Now, BPEP is nonpartisan, but we highlighted detriments that people would cause in this system. And I have to, once again, we're here on a more national level, the backgrounder. There's a story of a backgrounder that was found in a SA ring.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. We can't say certain things. I was at home practicing that, Dr. Alexis. I promise you, I was getting it all out my system. I was like, not allowed to say this. Bleep. So go.
Yeah, so there was a backgrounder found in the SA ring, and surprisingly, we can say prostitution. So.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say, you mean the prostitution ring?
Yeah,
and I looked at Dr. Alexis' face, because she stopped typing like, I got to give you the time out.
So, and I want to highlight how important this is for those who don't know, because we want to reach the community and want everybody to understand what's going on. So, a backgrounder. So, if you ever had to go and get a security clearance, if you ever had to go and have a background check, these are the agents that are responsible for seeing that you got a litter ticket in 1947. Like, these are the people who are supposed to go and figure that out. A backgrounder was found in a prostitution ring, and this is the guy that does background checks for ICE and national security.
When you sent me that, and I had to watch that whole clip, I can't believe, I'm going to say this, and I'm surely, first of all, let me say this, I think that's detestable. I mean, we're grown-ups. At this point, you need to find a different means to do certain things. And when you're held in a position of authority to do things that are derelict-ish, if I could use that word, it just shows a questionable amount of character. It does make you question the whole system. So all that was going through my mind, like who, what, where. But what threw me the most off was I didn't know that their press conferences, police, are so entertaining.
Well, he made it entertaining.
Did you hear him? Yeah. He was singing Eddie Murphy, whooping for love in all the wrong places.
And he made it entertaining.
He did. Now the song is Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. I'm not going to sing it like he did. But I found myself like bopping to it and saying, he sure enough did look for love.
In all the wrong
places in too many places.
What got me was the guy that was doing push-ups and he started talking about them.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm trying to find the police chief who did this. It's the Bloomington Police.
Yes.
Bloomington Police.
Where's Bloomington at for those of us who don't travel?
Absolutely no clue.
Oh, okay, Indiana. Our good old Hoosiers.
See, in the gallery, Dr. Brown let us know.
So they dunking more than basketballs out there, huh? They dunking criminals and pedophilers and...
So, but think about that, though. This is the person who does the background checks.
That's unnerving.
And there's an ongoing national conversation about Epstein files.
Come on now, it's unnerving.
And sexual assault. And I'll also go back to an article from December 8th, 2025, that talks about detained immigrants detail physical abuse and inhumane conditions at the largest immigration detention center in the United States. And this also includes SA, which is sexual abuse.
Did you know we had a detention center here?
Yes.
Most Shannon. For those of you who don't know, we have an ICE detention center here in Pennsylvania, in Most Shannon, Pennsylvania. Some of the groups that we support, Indivisible Pittsburgh, Black Neighborhoods United, and our other partners, Cast of San Jose. Forgive me if I'm forgetting anyone. We have routinely, talked about how we're not in favor of having those types of facilities in our state. So I just want people to know, for those of us who think it's happening in other cities and states, no, ICE was even seen at Mercy Hospital in the lower uptown, I call it the Hill District.
Yeah.
For those of us who know, we know. But my point is, we just had a protest out there right around the corner at the Target a couple weeks ago. So real quick, I just want to segue that in March, we are having our third No Kings protest.
March.
Yes,
which was
March. Oh, you caught me. I want to say it's the 28th.
We'll post it.
We'll post it. Let me go back because I didn't expect that segue so quick. Brandon is on fire. So before we close out, I'll get the actual date.
Okay.
But no, it is coming up in March. But my point is, it is happening right now around you. So when you have someone who has questionable personal things going on and can potentially abuse their power, I think that's what we're drilling down to.
Yes.
We have to look at what is the real distraction. We have people in leadership who have questionable taste in their private life and who are purposely obscuring and trying to deviate away from what the real issue is, which is the Epstein files.
Yes.
So that's what we're highlighting here. They're trying to distract. We did not sign up for a government or officials who don't want to represent us and talk about the things that matter to us. So, those inhumane conditions that are going on in a lot of these detention centers. I read an article last week about the baby who had just gotten a kidney. She had a kidney transfer or needed her medicine.
And they were detained and ICE would not give them the medication.
Right, the gentleman. Yes. But then there was a baby who had just had something life-threatening happen to her, who was seen at the hospital and then directly taken back in a short period of time to the detention center. What are we talking about here?
And I want to be very clear.
I know we're running it all together, but it's just a web.
It makes sense because it does make sense because we're talking about community moments. Although BPEP is nonpartisan, like Tim said last week, the founder and CEO, some things are factual.
That part.
What we see in our community are mothers being unalived on camera.
Jesus, fathers.
We are seeing nurses who help people and save lives being unalived on camera. And here today we see that this guy who is a backgrounder for ICE and for national security, he was found in a prostitution ring himself. And then I also want to bring this up. David Corvell, that's Courvell, 56, entered a guilty plea before the U.S. District Judge Robert Summerhays as a part of an agreement with prosecutors because he and others were sexually assaulting immigrants in the customs enforcement and ICE detention centers.
Are you serious?
He pled guilty.
Wow. Now look at this. Can we not see, I don't want to say too much because I don't want Dr. Alexis to smack my hand, But I think we can see that facts don't lie, and it's looking kind of suspicious. We've seen this story before.
But we're seeing it. I mean, I don't know how clear this has to be. Like,
I mean,
don't know.
I don't want to say what it is and get in trouble, but I think we know what this story looks like.
And it says, according to records, Corvell worked as a contract detention officer at the South Louisiana ICE Processing Center in Basel. That's BASILE, Basel, which is operated by the GEO Group Incorporated. That's GEO Group Incorporated between January 1st and July 30th. The facility houses women and detainees in various genders and identities. And this man that worked there pleaded guilty. Where are we at now? We have mothers being unalived in our streets, people being assaulted, babies dying, babies, being unalived.
People ripped out of their cars, ripped out of their institution. Dawn Lemon, we talked about them last night. I mean, this is an intentional shutting down of civilization, a rolling back of civil liberties, a rolling back of all the things that our forefathers fought for. So whether you believe in the political process, whether you believe in voting, you live. And they are trying to take whomever they are, fill in the blank. At this point,
here's the thing. It's not about your political loyalty. Where's your humanity? These are families. These are people. How are we
going to live if, for instance, somebody just busted through the door and arrested the engineer and arrested Dr. Alexis? I mean, that's how real these things are happening in real time. Just last week, we had a rally, outside behind the ICE headquarters on the south side, Indivisible Pittsburgh, BPEP, our supporters, Progressive PA. March 28th, because, we're a solution-based type of community moment. We're going to give an opportunity for the third No Kings protest here in Pittsburgh nationally. Third No Kings protest, March 28th. Come out, speak your piece, support. This is not time to sit passively by. I understand everybody doesn't like to get up in the mix, but in a moment, we see we're not going to have the city that we claim we love. Yeah. We're not going to have the neighbors. Oh, can we go there? What about the gentleman from Oakmont Bakery?
Right. He was taking his kid to school. Taking his kid to school, and he got detained, taking his child to school. What happened to the child?
They went and got him out, didn't they?
But I tell you what, you talk about solutions, the midterms is coming up.
Oh, the midterms are here. I heard our good friend Will Anderson say that last night.
The midterms are coming up.
Are here.
And
let's talk about it.
Steve Bannon sat there and said if they don't get the midterms, they will be taken to jail. They know they're wrong. And they admitted to it.
The whole thing of the matter is, the shell game. You watch this hand while that hand is doing it. If you've never seen a good magical trick, read the newspaper, people. Okay.
And here's this.
Read the newspaper.
If they're in the right and if they're just, why are they afraid to go to jail? And I just want, so we had 10 minutes left, and I promised that we would try to focus on some love. But this is the community. And here's the thing. If you don't do politics, guess what? Politics will do you.
Ooh, it's a mean lover. It's a mean lover.
It comes down to your house. It comes down to where you work. It comes down to the currency in your pocket.
It comes down to the food. Have you seen the food prices? I have not been able to go to the grocery store and spend less than $400. Now, mind you, I like what I like, okay? So we're going to leave that there because some people talk about where I shop. But I've gone to the other places. And do you know I still can't come out of there with less than $200 to $300?
I want to, because we're going to make a jump and I'll segue into this. Let's go back to the Super Bowl, the Benito Bowl. Oh, Bad Bunny listed all the Americas, okay?
Okay.
He listed all the Americas. These here are United States. These states are united. Americas is this entire side of the world.
That part.
And we have American countries like Brazil who are deciding not to use the US dollar. Guess what? It don't matter how you feel about anything. We're all on this rock in space, and we got to know how to get along.
That part.
And the leadership of our country is not only kidnapping other leaders of other countries and then taking over and saying that they are now the presidents of those countries. And that's a nuanced situation. But here's this: we all got to figure out how to get along. So if you don't do politics, politics will do you, right down to the currency in your pocket.
Oh, can we talk about the Bitcoin? But let's talk about that. Can we talk about that in March? Because I want to talk about that. Because when I saw that the president was offering people Bitcoin, I got a whole article, that I looked
but
at.
let's bring up the conversation.
Regulated.
Let's bring up the conversation from last week about what's dividing us in this love month. And I want to bring up a lot of different plights. There are, and maybe you could bring up the plight of, you and Dr. Brown could bring up the plight of Black women, but I would say a lot of men, there's this thing of the male loneliness epidemic.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
So them nursing homes is filling that pretty quick.
but here's facilities. I personally don't believe in the male loneliness epidemic. I feel like we haven't created the space to be human. And that's on the guys, that's on our part. We have all these social laws, all these social rules to keep us from being open and honest and talking with each other, with women, and so forth. And women feel like they are not valued by men, by Black men. You all can highlight that if you would like.
I'm gonna just say this: I had a very good friend of mine who drives me around, and she and I had a very good conversation. And she's about 10 years older than me, so I would consider her like an auntie sister. And she said, do you know that there is no other group of people who have music that denigrates their women?
Exactly.
I have never heard anything.
So we're going back to the rhetoric and media.
Come on now, media. That's where we're at right now. What is seducing your ears and your eyes? What is feeding your soul? If it's something negative. See, I grew up where you still heard love music.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, where, there was the roundaway girl. We had people like LL Cool J, saying all he needed was love. Come on. Mm-hmm. Everybody, even Tupac, when he got with his, gangster rap, a lot of people forget he started off as a poet. That's what I'm saying. Separate commercial from how you really want to live. People are selling us an identity. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying. We don't have enough people.
Scripts.
There we go. And that's why our show, I think, is so important, because we're bringing perspectives of people who are trying to say everyone doesn't have to think the same way, but we need to respect it. We're not all hoes. We're not all, garden tools, dog, whatever. People have a name.
And more importantly, where's the
respectability?
The interpersonal interaction
is garbage.
Because, and I said this because everybody wants to be vindicated. There are men who are wrong. There are women who are wrong. There are men that are right. There are women that are right. Do you want to be right, or do you want community?
People want to be right.
Because that's the thing. Like you will go down on that hill and you will be alone. Like Bobby Womack said, if you think you're lonely now,
wait until
you know what I'm saying?
Girl.
But and you see, even these little these little lessons, these little things that Lenny Williams talked about, how it broke him just because he didn't have the girl and he watched TV until the TV went off. Like, we don't have these things. Number one, I'll speak for the guys. We don't have these things, or a lot of guys are not paying attention to these things that say that that's okay. We always try to hide the emotion or just deal with the emotion, not indulge in it. Like, life is life. You're gonna have to hurt, indulge in it, feel it, and then that's where manhood comes into play. It's like, what you gonna do about it? You gonna get up and move on? You gonna get up and go after what you want, and then learn the lessons along the way. But it's okay, and I think those little things keep us, because you will have women who are dealing with trauma and just distaste for whatever experience that they have, and they take it out on the guy. And then the guy's like, well, I don't want to deal with that. Okay, well, if you don't want to deal with that, and then this person has trauma, now we're separated. And now somebody's going to go and express themselves in a song and create a script.
Right.
And we're going to be right back to denigrating each other.
Well, one thing I do want to say, and I don't want to go too far afield because I know you asked me to speak on the woman's perspective, but we are in discussion with the African American Male Wellness Agency. Are you familiar with them?
No, they're the ones that do the wellness days.
Yes, they do the wellness check-in at the August Wilson Center. They do some programs.
Yep.
Because they're talking I've been talking to the director of it, and I'm hoping that we, in BPEP and some other groups can get behind them, because they're discussing these issues of where are safe places to unpack. I mean, and that's really what this comes down to. We need male and female places that are not infiltrated with scripts, as Brandon just said, and people get a chance to process their feelings, their emotions. So I'm hoping that in this month of love and continuing on, through the rest of this year, that we can do the opposite of what we're being seen, that we can be the change. Yeah, I'm gonna get lovey-dovey for a moment, but that we can be the change, and we can start creating these spaces, even socially, where we can come and connect, not for profit, but for the profitability of the community, to heal, because some of us really do want to see us improve.
And just try it. How about we leave off at that? Just go ahead and try it. I believe it was Chris Tucker in Friday. He said, either Friday or Money Talks, he was like, "We're always hating somebody. Why don't you try loving somebody? Just go try to be happy."
That part.
This is the second half of the February BPEP Community Moments show. Nayoda, you want to close us out? Then something else you want to throw out there?
Yes, real quick, I have to give shout out and support to 2026 Disability Leadership Summit. It's happening February 24th through the 25th. It's virtual. Please go online, sign up. I am a 2026 Disability Lead Fellow. We are supporting disability leadership in our region. They are a national group. Please check us out. If you want to help, that is a place where you can sow love and see progress. Thank you. February 24th through the 26th, 2-day virtual Disability Lead Summit.
And, Cornel West, as kooky as he said, the mission is what? More Black love, more Black respect, more Black integration, more Black love. So thank you. This has been BPEP Community Moments for February 2026.
Yay. I said it was through the 26th, but it's like...
when y'all gonna bring love back.
I know.
We got lost. I said we was gonna do our best.
That's okay, because I said the summit was going on to the 26th. Now I'm gonna have to go back and recast, but that's okay. But you know what? It's